Rejlers Play is in Gothenburg for an exclusive interview with the SKF's CEO Rickard Gustafson. SKF is a cornerstone in Swedish industry with over 40,000 employees in 130 countries. How does one lead such a global powerhouse? And how will SKF be affected by Donald Trump's high tariff policies? Don't miss this chance to listen to Rickard Gustafson's thoughts about global trade issues, innovation, sustainability and leadership. Welcome to Rejlers Play, Rickard Gustafson. So nice of you to have us here in Gothenburg. For those who don't know who you are, please tell us about yourself and how will you describe yourself as a leader?
Wow, it's a big question to start. My name is Rickard, as I said. I am have an engineering background as my kind of education. But after I graduated, I kind of started as a consultant in what is today is called Accenture. Back then, it was Anderson Consulting. And then I spent some 10 years in financial services in a company named GE Capital. And that also gave me an exposure to live a bit abroad and so forth. And then I stayed within financial services, but I swapped over to more to insurance. And I was running a property and casualty insurance business named Trygg-Hansa in Sweden and Codan in Denmark. Then I got this odd question if I would be interested in joining SAS and run SAS, and I was an offer I could not refuse, so I said yes, and I joined SAS in 2011, and I stayed for 10 years as the CEO of SAS. And then I had this fantastic luxury and opportunity to swap career again, and then here I am now at SKF since 2021, and it's an amazing company. I'm sure we're going to talk more about it shortly. In terms of leadership, clearly, my leadership capacity has been moving in between different industries. So I can't claim that I have the deep expertise in any kind of functional area, but I do believe that I'm a fairly decent generalist in terms of leadership. And I put a lot of emphasis in building trust, working with transparency, trying to be rather data-driven in my approach. So articulate, the reasons why we're doing things, and also working pretty hard on how to communicate around change. How do you get, people with you, and how do you energize and engage people? Those are things that I try to spend quite a lot of time around.
Really important questions, if you ask me. Communications
right.
is base, I think. Yeah. But you started here in 2021, as you said. But how was it like to swap the aviation industry for SKF?
Clearly, it's a completely different type of business, but there are a few things that I really learned at SAS that I also try to deploy here. First and foremost, the aviation industry is fast moving. You don't really have any inventory. Once the plane has departed, you don't have an inventory to sell. The seat is, if it's empty, it's empty. You're never going to sell it again. That creates a different type of pace. And coming to an industrial company, clearly and necessarily it's a different pace, but that sense of urgency and trying, clock speed, I think is something that I hope that I can have a positive impact on here. Also, I think my years in aviation was also marked by aviation as an industry is going through real turmoil and significant change and a lot of tough situations. So I guess I also learned how to drive rather significant transformational change in a difficult environment, and how do you get an organization to align around that. So I think that is something that also been more general kind of traits and habits, I guess, that I brought here. But to me, SKF, it's an honor to be part of it. Yeah. It's one of these industrial icons that we are blessed with in this country that we have. And it's a truly global company. We operate in more than 120 countries. We have a heritage of innovation, true technical leadership, and that's how we built this business. And it's very nice heritage to try to make sure that we're taking to the future and safeguard and further enhance as we move forward.
Let's get to the challenges then.
Right.
Because there are quite a lot right now.
Yeah.
And one of them, we have a new president coming in America,
Yes.
Donald Trump, and he wants heavy trade tariffs, especially against China, but also against Mexico, Canada, and perhaps also Europe. And SKF is a company with trade all over the world.
Yes.
How worried are you about this?
Clearly, we're not immune to this, and it's something that we have to watch. But again, we have been around for more than 100 years, and we have managed in a rather, volatile environments before. So I think we have to trust that we have some capabilities. We cannot be naive. Clearly, we cannot be complacent. We have to act, and we need to make sure that we build in as much flexibility in our supply chains as we can, and then again stay close to our customers, find ways to navigate in this territory in the best possible way. So yes, I am worried, but clearly this is not the first time in the history that we are facing challenges in the global supply chains.
You recently built a new factory in Mexico, and Mexico is one of the countries that President Trump has aimed to
correct
to create tariffs.
Right.
So that it's and Canada as well, as I said.
Yeah.
And I think China is one of your biggest markets.
Yeah, China is big. Yeah, but the setup that we have, we have pushed strategically an agenda that we call regionalization, where the aim is to build strong and resilient supply chains in all the main geographies where we operate. Yeah. To make sure that we have redundancy built into the system. And that's our best defense against geopolitical challenges. And clearly, yes, we built a capacity in Mexico with the intention to use that to serve both North and South America. Clearly, there might be challenges to this going forward, but in general, I am a firm believer that this regionalized strategy is absolutely vital, because then we can move things around more rapidly. And that has played in our favor when other shocks happen to the system. For example, when Russia invaded Ukraine, we used to source quite a lot of steel from Russia. That had to stop more or less immediately. And then we have to reshuffle our supply chains. And that would not have been possible if we not have had other options. So again, building these redundancies into the system through regionalization will be key going forward.
Do you think the pandemic helped in a way to create more robust and supply chains?
Yes.
Alternative supply chains?
Yeah, I do think that there was a wake-up call for many companies that we came from a perception that globalization is the answer. You're trying to build as much capacity as you can and trying to leverage scale to the extent possible and then ship things around the globe. After the pandemic, I think people and organizations realized that that's kind of create a lot of vulnerability in such a setup. And that could come back and bite you. So yes, I do believe that pandemic was kind of an accelerator of more regionalization in global supply chains. Yes.
But how it's the world is quite it's changing a lot, and we have wars going on and so on, and we have a new president in America and so on. Can you sleep at night?
It's a constant. You have to be on your toes all the time. And also some of the focus for me as a leader has also changed a bit. For example, it's an awful event, but when the war broke out in Ukraine, we had, and we still have, a business there. We had some 1,100 colleagues in Ukraine when the war broke out. And clearly, we spent a lot of time thinking about how do we safeguard these people as individuals? How do we take care of our colleagues? How do we support them in this time of need in the best possible way? So there are different questions and leadership issues that you are faced with as you face these challenges and address those new challenges. But I do sleep pretty well, but clearly these things, they consume quite a lot of attention and also focus. Yeah.
Another issue is the competition from Asia is very tough.
Yeah.
At the same time, there are a lot of debate within the European Union that Europe must become stronger in trade, science, and much more in order to compete with Russia China and the United States. Do you think Europe is falling behind? And if so, what is needed to stop the trend?
Right. No, I'm actually one of those that do believe, and now I'm a bit concerned about Europe's long-term competitiveness. I think that we are falling behind. I do believe that we are creating too much bureaucracy around things, and that enables kind of other countries to use that against us. So we need to pay attention to this, and I think there are a few areas that really requires more attention. We do have an enormous single market in Europe. Do we fully leverage that? We still have barriers and issues, and make it a bit difficult to do business within Europe. So that's one area. We do need sustainable, renewable energy capacity, energy sources, which we have a lot of work to do to get there, but that's really key for us. We need to continue to build out strong and efficient infrastructure. And when infrastructure, I also talk about digital infrastructure. It's areas where I do believe some other geographies are ahead of us, and we need to pick up the pace there. Clearly we need, and I think that's one of the core strengths I've had, but we cannot take it for granted forever, is that we have a highly trained and educated workforce in Europe that is competitive as such. And then we need to get the oil the wheels and get the wheels spinning. That needs also easy access to private capital.
So you are a bit worried.
Innovation. Yes, I am worried, and we need to step up the game. And I am actually pleased to see that for the first time, at least as I can remember, European politicians, they talk about competitiveness now. At least it's on their agenda, and that's at least a good start. But we got to run pretty fast here.
And then we also have the sustainable and the greener question. And you also work to become a greener company, of course. Yeah. But do you think that could be a problem now when we have wars and different things going on, that the green transition is perhaps don't stop but slow down? Do you think that's...
I don't think it will stop. Slow down, we can argue, but I don't think I'm the only one that are pretty convinced that for any business, we need to make sure that we as business leaders, that we drive the sustainable agenda forward at high pace. And for SKF, I think it's existential for us to do that. And this is also why I find it so exciting to be part of SKF nowadays, because some 20% of the world's total energy is actually wasted through friction. Yeah. And our job is to actually eliminate and fight friction and drive energy efficiency. That's what the bearing is all about. Yeah. So we have a role to play here. And clearly we need to make sure that we as a company do our homework, and we will. We have science-based targets, and we will be kind of CO2 neutral by 2030, scope 1 and scope 2. And then, we also know that to get to also scope 3 upstream, it's going to take us up to 2050, and that would require access to green steel. But we can talk about that later. Yeah. So we have, and we do invest some 3 billion kronor right now to make sure that we hit our 2030 targets. So it's for real for us. But what's even more exciting is more the business opportunity that brings to us, because we can support our customers in their transition. We can help to unlock new industrial segments. Clearly, we are part of the electrical revolution in vehicles. We play a big part there. We play a big part in high-speed train. We play a big part in emerging technologies such as tidal wave or hydrogen. So for us, sustainability is fully embedded into what we provide to our customers and how we see our business evolve. So we will not stop, to come back to your first question. And I doubt that many other industries will stop. There might be different avenues and angles that we need to take due to kind of navigate in the geopolitical space. But we have to move this. And for whatever reason, if we be trying to be part of mankind or put a bigger hat on, well, at least I would like to make sure that my kids and my potential grandkids in the future have a place to live as well. And it's up to us to do something about it.
Yeah. But you do use a lot of steel, and the production of steel, as you of course know, involves large emissions. And today, I think we have two huge investments underway in Sweden, green and fossil-free steel. You're involved in, I think, financing a hydrogen initiative in Luleå University.
That's correct. Yeah.
How crucial are green steel for SKF?
It's fundamental for us to deliver on the long-term targets. To put it in perspective, from cradle to gate, i.e. actually from raw material to actually we have a finished product in one of our factories. Some 80% of the total CO2 footprint in that kind of process or that journey is dependent, or comes from the fossil steel. So we have to transition to fossil-free steel to reach our long-term objectives. And here we engage with a number of different initiatives and also work directly with some of our suppliers. And we do have some exciting pilots up and running. We have recently actually manufactured a fully fossil-free bearing that we're now testing our test rigs. We worked in this case with an Austrian company called Westalpine, where they have, reduced the carbon in their process through hydrogen and provided the steel that we can then use. And so far, it's very promising in terms of performance that we're seeing.
When do you think you can start using it 100% or 50% or?
Right. Well, we want to do it as quickly as possible, but clearly, there is not enough raw material or steel available. So capacity-wise, we can only buy a fraction of what we need. So unfortunately, we're talking, probably 10 plus years before we see some real traction here to build up the capabilities. But we want to make sure that we're early adopters, that we test and understand. So once there are more availability on these type of steels, we can move fast. But we don't have to just look into steel that comes directly from ore, but also another source is of course scrap steel. And there we work with companies like Ovako and work with them, and they then melt the scrap and create new steel. And the trick there is to make sure that the energy used to melt the steel comes from green sources. So here, that's another avenue to get kind of fossil-free steel that we also work very actively within. And I think at the end of the day, both these sources need to play a role. We cannot just rely on one.
But they say the green steel will probably become more expensive than today's steel. Do you think that means that your products will also become more expensive? Do you think your clients want to pay higher prices for green steel?
Over time, I think it's going to actually, you will build up the capacity, and over time, I'm rather convinced that from a price competitiveness, we're going to see that any difference will even out. But over a period of time, the answer is we do have an issue here, clearly. But on the other hand, I also think that the politicians globally, they pushing also to price CO2, so there's a cost to it as well. So you need to take in those kind of dimensions to it as well, and maybe the business case looks a bit different, or if you also include kind of the cost of carbon in your operations, then I do believe that many customers of ours, they have aggressive sustainability targets. They want to demonstrate to their customers that they are a reliable and sustainable partner. So if we can provide a product to them that enhances their storytelling to their customers, I think there's a value there as well that we can capitalize on. And even though already today, I can't say that we can charge a premium for our work around driving our sustainability agenda. But what we have done a lot of work to make sure that we have transparency in our entire value chain on our CO2 footprint, so we can have it clearly articulate with facts and figure and in a trustworthy way to our customers. What is the CO2 footprint in your application if you use our products?
Yeah.
And that has proven to be a competitive advantage for us. Not that I can price for it, but if I'm up against competition, we're equal in terms of quality, equal in terms of price, we win because we are better transparency and can better articulate how this actually fits into your sustainability agenda. So yeah, it's already today, there are competitiveness to be gained from being at the forefront of sustainability.
Thank you for having us. It was really nice to see you again, Rickard.
Likewise.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.